Do you want to use a presenter or do you use works? I'm not sure if it works with MacBook. Haven't tried it yet. I'm not sure if it. No, I don't think. Sorry? Oh, no, it's not. Okay. Can you please take off the sign then? I'll introduce you and then we can get started.
Okay.
Yeah. So welcome all. Thank you for saying the last lightning talk of the day. We have Andrea Fecamandi talking to us. Please give him a big round of applause. And the floor is yours.
Okay. Hi everybody, I'm Andrea Fecamandi and let's talk about how to write a novel using an open source software, Introduction to Bibisco. The story of Bibisco started in 1997 when Björk published her third album, Homogenic. The track number 4 was the beautiful Bachelorette. At that time I was 22 years old and I used to watch the video of the song on the newborn MTV Italy. The video features Björk as a bachelorette, a young woman who finds a book buried in her garden that begins to write itself. She takes the book to a publishing house and the book becomes so popular that everyone in the city starts reading it. Ever since I was a child, I've loved reading, but the video impressed me so much that an urgency to write came over me. In that period, I spent so many nights in front of my text editor, this one, writing one word after another, following the idea of the story I had in my mind. But every time I read what I'd written, I felt a deep disappointment. I didn't understand why, but it didn't work. So, after several attempts, I gave up and I dedicated myself to finishing my study of computer engineering, to reading, and to being a 20-year-old guy. But many years later, I happened to watch the video again on YouTube, and that urgency to write came back over me. But I decided to study a different approach. So I started to study dramaturgy, and everything became clearer, and I learned some important lessons. Lesson number 1, the idea of the novelist to write guided only by the sacred fire of inspiration is quite naive. Lesson number 2, the most important, the conflict of each character is the driving force of every novel. But what is exactly a conflict? A conflict is a desire to be realized, is a reaction to an external situation. It is an inner need. Conflict leads a character to action and to change the condition of things. So a novel is the story of a change in the condition of things and of the evolution of characters during this process. There is no novel without conflict. That's it. So it's all about characters, and novels only work if their characters are believable. Characters that are completely good or completely evil are stereotypes, and for this are not believable. Characters are believable when you can understand the complexity of their human nature, their qualities, their defects, their contradictions. So how can create a believable characters? The only way is to know everything about them. Behavior, physical aspects, sociology, psychology, all their life before the novel begins. With these lessons learned, I decided to get to know my characters through a long series of questions, such as an interview. So I prepared a character sheet on a simple text document, like this. When I started to fill in the form, the characters gradually took shape, became real. It was wonderful, because they were telling me their stories, and I just had to listen and write down what they said. When I completed filling the forms, I was ready to write the first scene of my novel, but soon I found myself lost in a mountain of text document files. I tried to organize everything in folders on my notebook, but wasn't enough. What I really needed was a novel development environment, a unique program in which define the architectural elements of the novel, to know my characters, to write my scenes with a fully featured text editor. I looked for a software like this, but I couldn't find it. So I decided to make it myself, because I thought, I'm a developer. I have the superpower of create things. I soon realized that the project was complex and ambitious, but at the same time was extremely exciting because it was my project. And I felt a deep sense of well-being and fulfillment in seeing my literary soul and my computer soul, which I have always considered as opposed, merging in the construction of something new. I used to work at the project in the free time I had after my family and my professional activities. And my mantra becomes, what have you done today for Bibisco? After 2 years of work, I released Bibisco 1.0 in the April 2014. I licensed Bibisco under GPL 2.0. The project was well received, and the help of the early adopters was crucial. They helped me to find bugs. They suggested me new features. They translated Bibisco in their own languages. They supported the project with posts and articles. They supported me with beautiful messages I had never received as a computer consultant. And this is the magic of the open source community, where people from all over the world, without knowing each other, work together to build something beautiful for the benefit of all. Okay, let's have a brief look at the application. Bibisco is divided into sections, each one accessible from the main menu bar. In the project section, there are some useful tips of dramaturgy that can help writers, especially the beginners, to find their workflow. In the architecture section, you can define the architectural elements of the novel. There is the premise. The premise contains the entire narration of the entire novel in one sentence: conflict and resolution. We have the fabula. The fabula is narration of the ends in their logical and chronological sequence. Then we have the settings, the description of place, time, and social context where the story is developed. Then we have the narrative strands, each one connected to the development of one specific conflict. Every card has its status flag to indicate the status of the work. By default is red for to do, but you can easily change it to yellow for not yet complete, or green for complete. You can define your architectural elements using the Bibisco text editor. Is a fully featured text editor with all the usual commands for bold, italic, underline, and for the other formatting needs. There are also a specific commands and shortcuts for the dialogue symbols. On the bottom right, you have a running word and character count, while in the bottom left, you can change the status flag. This is the character section. In the character section is divided into main character and the secondary characters. A main character has a conflict, a driving force of the plot, while a secondary characters don't have a conflict, but is useful for the story development. Let's go inside our main character's detail. Here you can find all the cards that you need to know everything about your character. Every card has its status flag, and we also have a card for the attachment of the images of your character. Each card has a series of questions that let you know your character through an interview. If you don't like an interview mode, you can describe a particular aspect of your character using a free text mode. In the location section, you can describe the location of your novel, and you can attach images at every location. And this is the chapter section. The chapter section contains the chapter, of course, of the novel. And every chapter has its card with its status flag and its count badge. And you can use drag and drop to reorganize chapter inside the novel. Let's go inside a chapter detail view. Here we can find a card to indicate the main purpose of the chapter and a card for the notes. Then you can create the chapter by creating the individual scenes. Every scene has its card with the status flag and word count badge. You can use drag and drop to reorganize the scene inside your chapter. Bibisco saves all the revision of your scene, and you can always view or restore a previous version. When you write your scene, you can always view the architectural elements of the novel, characters, location, and chapters you have already written in a box next to the text editor. It was extremely useful because it's the one program, the novel development environment. You can also tag the scene with the name of characters, point of view, location, time, and narrative strands. If you tag properly the scene, you can use this section. It was very interesting because the analysis section shows you where and how often characters, location, point of view, narrative strands show up in your story and in exactly what chapter, all in a visual way. For example, here you can see the character distribution through, in the chapters of your novel. And here you can see the chapter length graph. Finally, in the export section, it's possible to export the novel in PDF, RTF, or as archive. Some numbers. At the moment, Bibisco has more than 40,000 downloads and is translated in 8 languages. Bibisco is the one of the 7 cool little open source projects that stood out in 2016 in the yearbook of opensource.com. Let's get one more technical. The actual version of Bibisco is the 1.5. Bibisco 1.x is a Java desktop application that is available on Linux, Mac, Windows. It's written with Eclipse RCP framework, but the user interface is written in HTML5 and JavaScript. For this reason, the next release of Bibisco, the 2.0, will be a fully HTML5 and JavaScript application, and I'll use Electron framework by GitHub to write the next release. Here there are some reference to get in touch with the project. We have a website, we have a blog, we have a mail of the project, personal mail, we have a Facebook page, we have a Twitter page, and of course we have our GitHub repository. About me, and I'm Andrea Feccomandi, I'm 41 years old, I'm from Bologna in the north of Italy, and I'm a family man, and I love my beautiful wife and my 2 kids. I'm a passionate software engineer, and I'm a CTO in a software house in Bologna. I love books, music, movies, TV series, basketball, and Lego. I have not yet written my novel, but if it's true that a person is happy when he's able to fully develop its potential, I can say with certainty that Bibisco made me an happier person. That's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Andrea. I think we have some time for questions, so any takers? I see a hand over there. Can you wait 1 second, and I'll bring the microphone over to you.
Yeah, thanks. Okay, so how can you use all your cards, like you described them in your PDF or something, as a graph, you know, and use like, I don't know, something like BDD programming, you know, and auto-generate like words or using some adjectives or some, I don't know, some stuff about the characters and auto-generate like chapters or relationships between the characters and so on.
Are you asking me about the relation of the characters?
Yeah, if I know it's possible, but have you ever thought of it and with your contributors like?
But at the moment you can write it in the sheet or in the cards of the characters, but I'm thinking about to insert a mind map to map the character relations in the next release of Bibisco.
Okay,
Hi, do you know of any success stories in using your software, like with actual books published.
Okay, we have just at the start of this year, we have started a blog to collect some success story, and we are waiting for the success story of our users to publish and spread in the world.
So, any other questions? I see a hand raised over there.
Hi. I tried to run Bibisco on Linux distribution with OpenGDK, and it didn't work because it seems that the Bibisco Linux version ships with the Oracle Java client, implementation. Is it like considered a bug? Because you mention open source a lot, so I just...
Okay. I have to. If you open an issue on a GitHub, I can work on it maybe. But it's in the next version of Bibisco it's all full JavaScript in HTML5, and so there is no JRR problems. Okay.
So I think we have time for one last question, if there are any takers. Oh.
Sorry to interrupt. Any funding on this project? Have you ever received like funding or tried to
Get found?
Yeah.
At the moment, no. At the moment, no. We are thinking about it, but we are.
Yeah, okay, sorry.
So, what format do you use for saving the data in Bibisco?
Okay. At the moment, you are using a local database. H2 database is a local database in Java. But in the next release, the 2.0, I think about using a simple JSON file to store everything.
Will there be a hosted version? Will there be a hosted version?
Hosted version in
2.0?
I don't understand the question. I'm sorry.
Like, will you host a version that everybody can access if it's online instead of downloading?
Okay. I think about it, but I have to. It's difficult for me at the moment to have an hosting that do that. Okay, and so I prefer the people download on their machine.
And the confidentiality, because maybe some people they don't want to.
Yes, it's also this aspect.
So I'm sorry, that's all the time we have. Andrea, thank you very much.
Thank you.